we are heading back to the fertility doctor, and I don't even know what to think about it. Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today, and Zach and I have our fertility follow-up scheduled, and it's happening fairly soon. And I'm sitting here with sort of mixed emotions this time around. You know, the last time it was just excitement that the thing you've been hoping for, that you and your husband have been hoping for quite some time, might be right around the corner. But now, with everything that happened in the spring, there's a little bit of nervousness because I know what can go wrong. If you missed everything that went on in like March, April, Zach and I finally went for fertility treatments after a lot of testing. All the testing came back normal for both of us. And I was scheduled for a medicated IUI, intrauterine insemination, which has like a fairly low percentage of working, but it's considered a low-tech fertility option. And so we went for it, and I wound up getting pregnant on the first shot, which was totally wild to me. I've never had a positive pregnancy test in my life. I was like, what is happening? But fairly quickly we realized something was off. My HCG started off really low, and I didn't get a positive pregnancy test until a little bit later than they expected. And it did climb. My HCG went up appropriately after that, but it was because it went into the wrong spot. The embryo kind of lodged itself in my fallopian tube, and that was a rough 3 to 4 weeks of, you know, not knowing what was going on, then finally knowing what was happening, trying to treat it medically and thinking it was working, but then it wasn't working, and having to get emergency surgery to remove my right fallopian tube. It was wild, it was draining. So it's sort of a weird spot because, you know, if I wound up successfully pregnant, I would go through all of that again. I would do it. I would absolutely do it. It's just, you know, there's no guarantee with any of this. So it's, man, it's something that we both want. We both really want. It's just a lot. So anyways, moving forward, just having that little taste of fertility treatments, even though it was low tech, there was still a lot that went into it. Lots of medications and just very timely things. Everything had to be scheduled perfectly. I really am understanding that I need some assistance in this preparatory period as I potentially go into further fertility treatments. I need something to keep me on time, keep me on track, which I am not the best at, which is why I am really looking forward to using Kora Health's new app. I am excited to share this new health resource for anybody, you know, if you've got a chronic illness, or maybe you are in the process of getting diagnosed, or just generally wanting to track your health. I think that this is something that could be super helpful. I am talking about Kora Health. The creator of this app, this platform, really wanted to make her own solution to some of the hurdles that she was facing, and with it she wanted people to more easily be able to identify triggers in their life. And so this app uses AI to find correlations between symptoms and everything going on in your life. I've been using it for a few weeks now because I got a taste of what the fertility treatments are like and how overwhelming it can be. And on top of that, you know, I've got something else going on. I have Crohn's. So I'm realizing with the two of this, it is a lot to handle. Obviously I want to, this is something I want to do, but it's a lot to handle, and having something that's going to help me track everything I'm supposed to be doing, all of the symptoms that I may be having from either the fertility treatments or my Crohn's disease, this is going to do it. This is going to help me keep tabs on everything. Kora has a variety of logs that you can input your data into, and it's really customizable. So for instance, if you typically experience maybe a common 4 to 5 symptoms, Kora has a whole list that you can select from and filter out the ones you don't need. So if you're looking to, like for myself, I'm thinking, if you're looking to input nausea, headaches, things like that, I filtered those so I see those immediately, and the other ones I can obviously add later if I want, but I don't have to have them on that front screen. And there's also an option to add a note so you can put in, you know, any specifics that you want to. It also provides daily reminders. It has a journal if you'd like to take down some notes or just kind of what's going on that day. And it also has an appointment tracker, which when it comes to the fertility stuff, I was going in pretty much every other day, so that will be utilized. This app has a free version, so if you want to try it out, you know, dip your toes into it, you can. But I will say, in terms of health technology and apps in the health technology space, this is one of the most affordable ones that I have seen so far, and they have so kindly provided a discount code for my viewers. If you do go for that 1-year subscription, using the code Maggie33 will get you 33% off of that. So for such a detailed, you know, specific app, I think that's totally worth it. I think it's going to play a huge role in whatever the future may hold for me. And I have talked to the creator of this app a few times now, and she is absolutely lovely. But you can really see the dedication that she has to it because, you know, it plays a huge role in her life. She uses it, but she wants to make sure that it works and that it's effective and easy to use. So she's constantly working on it with her team. In fact, there are a few new improvements coming out in the nutrition and the vital logs. So that way it's easier for you to use. It's not taking up more time of your day to input your health data. So I think that's really neat. And I also wanted to mention that they have a free to join private Facebook group called the Spodny Community. I'll put links below for both the app and this Facebook group in the description below. But it's just a place for, you know, people with any kind of chronic condition to support and encourage each other, just like a nice place to connect with others. Thank you to Kora Health for sponsoring this video. I'm really excited to use it moving forward. Well, use it in the preparatory period as I look into what fertility options may be available to me, which we'll talk about shortly. But I'm excited to see the impact it might have in the future. Okay, so let me get into what the next steps are. Obviously, it was making that fertility follow-up, and I really liked that my fertility clinic didn't pressure me into seeing them right away. They did contact me a few times just to say, hey, like checking in, want to see how you're doing. They also wanted to make sure that after the ectopic pregnancy, I was going back into normal cycles, which I sort of have. They've changed, but they're sort of normal. I'm having cycles, it's just the length between them has been anywhere from like 27 days to 35, which is not typical for me, but I think my body is just kind of like, what happened? Anyways, it was, you know, really the first step was making that appointment. So I did do that. I actually made it. I was ready over a month ago, but my doctor was on vacation and stuff, so they didn't have an appointment available, but it is upcoming now. It's gonna happen fairly soon. And we did have a small opportunity, both Zach and I, to talk with our doctor in the midst of the ectopic, like when we first discovered it. So I want to share a little bit about that conversation, share about another conversation I had after I wound up having emergency surgery, and my feelings surrounding all of this, because it's wild. Okay, so the day that, actually it was the day after we discovered the ectopic, they wanted me to come in immediately for treatment, and that just involved methotrexate injections. It's not fun. That was an emotional day for a multitude of reasons, but Zach was there with me, and it was fairly quiet in the clinic. I think I was the only patient there, so we were just in the hallway, and I was able to ask the doctor a few questions. And my first question was, am I gonna have to do IVF? Like, is that the safest option for me? Why? We did all the testing, everything was normal for me. Why is this happening? And he was very kind. He was very kind about the whole situation. And I liked what he said about my fallopian tubes. That sounds weird. The way that he described it was, you know, the road can be open, but that doesn't mean there aren't bumps or potholes along the way that make the journey difficult. So my fallopian tubes were open on my HSG testing, but doesn't mean that there wasn't something funky about them that made it difficult for the embryo to travel through. Which is like, of course, it just feels like my luck. I don't remember the exact percentage of, you know, how common an ectopic is in the general population, but after you've had one, the risk does go up quite a bit. So I was like, is IVF gonna be the safest option? Like, do you even think I should be doing this? Is basically what I said. And I was upset asking it, but I knew I needed to ask it. I was like, do you think I'm crazy for wanting to carry a child myself? And he said no. He's like, after all of this, I don't have any concerns of you actually being able to get pregnant and carry a pregnancy. It's more, how do we get there in the safest way possible? And he said, you know, IVF might be the way to go, but we'll see, basically. Which was hard for me to hear because IVF is expensive, it's difficult on the body, it's emotionally difficult, it's just a lot, and most people don't just jump to IVF. They just don't. So anyways, you know, that was that conversation, and medically, obviously, we couldn't take care of the ectopic. So I wound up having my fallopian tube rupture and having emergency surgery, which went fine, everything went well, and they removed my right fallopian tube, which is, I know that I've had a couple comments of people saying, why couldn't they save it? Why couldn't they just remove the ectopic from it? And after hearing what my fertility doctor had to say and the general recommendation, it's actually more risky to keep the tube because if there's something wrong with it in the first place, okay, you know, there's that, but when you have surgery on anything, it's not the same as it was before, you know, and I know that. I've certainly experienced that myself. So when it came to removing a tube, I was like, go for it, I don't care. And I know there can be concern of, well, doesn't that reduce your fertility? And it can, but not, you know, a lot of you guys have actually commented this to me and explained it, that it doesn't necessarily chop your fertility in half because you've only got half of your tubes. And it certainly, that seemed to be the case because we knew I ovulated from my left, but the embryo wound up on my right tube. So crazy. I didn't know, honestly, that was even possible, but apparently it is, and that's why your fertility is not cut in half. So, I mean, I guess that gave me a little bit of encouragement with it, but in reality, I know, you know, 3.5 years of nothing happening, me not having any pregnancies, it wasn't probably gonna happen on its own anyway. I mean, there's always a chance, but it was unlikely. My fertility doctor said, on your own, I would give you a 1% chance every month that you might get pregnant. So it was low anyway. So I am not devastated that I lost a tube. If there was an issue with it, I'd rather it be gone. I just think it's better that way. When I had the actual surgery done, I had the opportunity to talk to an OBGYN who was fantastic. He was one, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if he was actually in my surgery or was just consulting with my surgery, but he seems to be a consultant with the hospital that I went to. But he came to see me and was super kind, and I asked him too, I was like, do you think I'm crazy for wanting to have a pregnancy? And he said, no, I see people like you a lot, people with Crohn's disease, people who've had surgeries, and there are ways to do it. And he said, honestly, when we got in there, which is what makes me think that he was actually there. He said he was at a meeting, so I'm thinking he came back to the hospital. I was knocked out, obviously, so I wasn't there to see who all was in the room. But he said, you know, when they got in there, things looked good. Like, we expected to see lots of scar tissue based on past surgical reports that we got for you and you telling your experience with previous surgeries, we expected to see a lot of scar tissue, and we didn't see any. Your uterus looked great. Everything looked good. And that, I think, gave me the most peace about the situation, that, oh, things actually look good down there. You know, maybe my intestines aren't great, but my reproductive health, okay, is okay. So when it comes to all of this, you know, this missing fallopian tube, my concern is not my fertility is reduced. It's more of my risk for another ectopic. It's something that I've had to seriously think about and think about the options. And obviously I have this follow-up schedule because I don't know what's going to be recommended officially. I don't know what's going to be expected. But I know, and this might be surprising to some, I am not against IUIs. I would not be against doing another IUI. And the reason is it's lower tech, which obviously is a bit easier on me. It's more cost effective. I know. But the main reason is it sort of worked. We did all of the first steps. We met all of the goals except for getting it in the right spot. You know, we made an embryo, which just, I never thought I would be able to do. I truly didn't. So when I got that positive pregnancy test, I was mind blown. I just thought it would not be possible for me to ever get pregnant. That's how I went into it. And, you know, I would make my peace with it. I would go through the IUIs, they wouldn't work, and maybe in the future I'd go through IVF and that wouldn't work, and that would be that. And I would have to make peace with it and move forward. And that's not what happened. You know, it just, the fact that an IUI worked on the first shot for me, I don't know. So I know there's a lot that goes into this, and IUIs can be risky for me, more so now, especially since I've had one ectopic, and that's why we're having this fertility appointment follow-up. We're going in with open minds. Zach and I have talked quite a bit about it. He knows that I am not against IUIs, and he is not against IUIs either. And I know a lot of people have asked for Zach's perspective in this, and I'm not going to speak for him. I'm just going to say what I noticed about him. His fear is me. His concern is me and my health. So it's a decision that Zach and I will make together along with a fertility doctor, and that first step is just going to this appointment. So for right now, I am just focusing on my health, making sure that I'm doing all the things that I need to do to stay physically healthy and emotionally healthy. I think I have come a long way in the last 3 months, but also the last couple of years, just health-wise, Crohn's-wise. I think the best that I have felt in a really long time physically. Emotionally, the last 3 months have been hard, and I still get choked up sometimes, and I love this ring as my reminder. But I'm ready, and I wouldn't have made the appointment if I wasn't ready. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and obviously gonna use the Kora Health app because I am trying to stay on top of all of my daily supplements that they have me taking, which is very difficult, and honestly, that's the number one thing I've noticed so far, is that I do not take them nearly as often as I think I do. So, it's already proven helpful with that, really telling me, hey, you need to take this. So, but I think that's just with all the medicines and whatever, you know, I move forward with, it's gonna be an essential tool. So again, if you're interested in it, I'm gonna put the information in the description below. Of course, the code that they've given me for 33% off a year subscription. I think it's such a neat and all-encompassing app for somebody with a chronic condition or just like in that process of figuring out what's going on with their health. So I look forward to updating you when I kind of have information and maybe a plan. I don't know. I look forward to sharing that with you, and I am grateful for just the kind comments I've received over the last few months and just the understanding that, you know, Zach and I are going to make our plan together, and it's kind of our decision. I know there's lots of suggestions out there on what we should do, but, you know, we're moving forward in the way that we think is appropriate for us. So I just want to share kind of that journey with it, because it can be so complicated, and I've kind of found it difficult to find other people's experiences that are similar to mine in this fertility situation. So that's why I like to share, and it's also very therapeutic for me just to talk it out and also kind of use it as a video diary, if you will. All right, guys, I'll keep you updated. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are looking for a way to help support my channel, consider liking this video or even subscribing. You can also check out my store at LetsTalkIBD.shop. I have stickers and hoodies like these guys over here, just related to chronic illness and inflammatory bowel disease, something fun. And I also have a coupon code for my YouTube watchers. You could also become a member of my channel, like the wonderful people scrolling on screen here. They've become a member and they have access to videos a little bit earlier. It's a great way to support my channel, and really, just watching my videos means the world. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next.